time-based setups and models. And I kind of want to just broad brush some ideas and conceptual views on price action that I want to instill in your thought process as an analyst or a trader in the making. Even if you're experienced as a trader, if you're profitable, if you trade with other approaches and such, and you just like to listen to me, maybe not necessarily use my content or my ideas. These are ideas that I think will complement every other form of trading. So that way everyone can put down their pitchforks and torches and not try to come at me, because I always tell everybody that what I teach is the market and everything else is subpar. This idea of time and price theory, it started with me when I was listening to Ken Roberts, which was the first person I looked at as a mentor. Time is a crucial factor in consistency, longevity, and success. Meaning that you need to know what you're looking for. Why do the setups, or why should the setups form? What's the basis or premise behind the setups? Like, what makes your trade idea that you're about to take, or what you're stalking or hunting, what makes it viable? Is it something that's, built on your impulsive tendencies to just look for something? Or is it rooted in something that's sound and logic? I want to touch on a couple things in this discussion. I don't believe we're going to go very long. And I usually say that in the past, and we go for hours and hours, but I don't want to kill the gems in this particular chapter, but I want to kind of give you an idea of what is it I'm going to be talking about in these books, kind of bringing together all the conceptual ideas I've taught, and even my own older students, they have been made aware of, and I've taught some things with them as well. But what is a time-based need or influence in trading? Well, let's think about it like this. Maybe you have a job right now. Maybe you have a job that you go to, or maybe you're older and you've retired, or maybe trading has been an allowance for you to no longer have to work anymore. But you know what it was like to be in rush hour traffic, right? In the States, in the United States, we have generally 2 times of the day where it's considered rush hour, and you don't want to be on the busy highways and byways because they'll be congested. They are typically in the morning, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, and in the evening time or afternoon, it's 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Those 2 hours in both morning and evening session, if you're looking at traffic like trading, that is scheduled congestion. That's scheduled volume. You can set a clock to it. You know it's going to be there. You can set a clock to volume in trading as well, just like traffic. You know when rush hour in the morning is going to occur. You know where rush hour is in the afternoon. Well, the same thing occurs in trading. And I want you to think about the importance of knowing when there is going to be scheduled volume inflows. What does that mean? Certain times of the day, there is a reasonable expectation that there's going to be a lot of interest to be trading. That's at the beginning of the trading sessions, being like London, New York session AM, or for Forex traders, New York open kill zone, or the London close session for Forex traders, or the lunch hour for index trading. And then you have the PM session, which is 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So you can anticipate setups that will form within those little specific time windows. Now, some of you, when you get to that 2022 model, that are, in my opinion, are very simple rules that lead to a consistent setup that is very easy to see. It's conceptually pleasing because it doesn't demand a lot of moving parts. It's rule-based. And as long as you can see where liquidity is, above old highs or below old lows, and you have a bias, something on a higher time frame basis, you can use that model and be very consistent with it. And once the trade pans out, you stop and there's nothing else to think about, nothing else to worry about. The problem is some of you aren't content with that. and you want more. And I want to kind of like pull you back, okay? Pulling the reins on you because you get a little too wild sometimes. You want to do more than what's necessary. And time helps control that. So what do we mean by that? In the beginning of your trading, when you're looking for consistency and continuity in your trading and not over trading, not being impulsive, not trying to react to price, you want to be anticipating it. Okay, professional traders, they are not surprised by the events in market action. They're not. I know that sounds impossible. I know that sounds like, come on, nobody knows this stuff, ICT. Nobody can know it in advance. Well, around here we do. And my students prove it without me holding them. They're trading markets I don't even trade anymore. And they're doing exceedingly well. So that means they've learned this concept, this mindset, this approach to trading, and they're independently doing it apart from me. So you can join the ranks. That's the very thing I'm doing here, is trying to make you an independent thinking and price action engaging trader. So that way you're not needing me to handhold you. I don't want to do that. I don't do that, and I don't sugarcoat anything. It's going to be a lot of effort for you to figure out what your model is. And unfortunately, there is no mold to press you into. If it was, I could be turning out traders like this every day. But unfortunately, the factors that bring with trading as a human being, you have character flaws. And you have to limit the exposure in these charts and these markets because your natural impulses, which are always going to be negative, the negative is going to overwhelm the few times that you are in the beginning doing the right things at the right time. And it only takes a small series of events that you did wrong with a mindset that was incorrectly, focusing on things that aren't that big of a deal. Worrying about which model's better. This guy's posting that he got a payout from this company and he's doing it consistently. What's he doing or what is she doing that I'm not doing? Well, they're minding their own business, number one. They're doing what it is that matches their personality. You need to have this same approach or mindset about trading that you do with traffic. If you were going to go away on a trip and you were doing a road trip driving, are you going to plan your departure during the peak of rush hour traffic? No, you're not. When would you likely do it? Well before it happens, that way you can get through the congested, scheduled traffic jams around high congested cities. And then when you get past it, the same thing. After the lunch hour, after the rush hour of 9 o'clock in the morning in the States, wherever you are, there's traffic, yes, but it's not congested or bunched up. You can have a pretty easy movement from one location to the next, unless there's an accident or something like that. Well, that same thing should be applied to your trading. Do you want to go in at the very opening of, say, for instance, 9:30 a.m.? If you're brand new to trading, you don't know what you're doing. That's equivalent to you being a new driver. Do you want to be going out there over the speed limit, texting while you're driving in rush hour? What's that recipe for? Disaster. All right, so you don't want to schedule your trading, if you're brand new, at the very opening, like the first minute or two of trading, because you know that now everybody's in there dogpiling in to take trades. So you think everybody in there is going to be pushing the market up because of their buying pressure, or they're going to be sending the market lower because of their selling pressure. And again, that's all misinformation, that you're all trying to do something at their incorrect time. And that compounds the likelihood of you wrecking. Just like in traffic as a new driver, you don't do all those high-speed maneuvers when you're inexperienced. You don't distract yourself with social media during your driving or in your trading. That means keeping up with everybody else. You need to be minding your own business and watching where you're traveling. When you're driving, years and years ago, they taught defensive driving. It was called the Smith system. And I learned a lot of defensive driving skills that really find their way in my teaching as an educator in price action. You may not realize it, but it has a lot of sound logic. You don't want to be reacting to the drivers around you. Now, obviously, we would have to. In price action, you don't want to be reacting to the knee-jerk reactions in lower time frames, because you could be convincing yourself rather quickly, oh, it's not going to do what I thought it was going to do. Let me do this because now this 1 minute chart or this 5 minute chart has done this or that. The same thing with driving. You need to be anticipating not only what you're going to do if this or that happens, but you have to drive the cars around you. As a CDL driver, you have to learn to anticipate when they're not going to come over into your lane without signaling. And it's probably a game you probably played in your own driving. You're thinking, okay, because I'll tell my wife all the time, I say, watch this guy up here. He's going to come over. He's not going to signal. And he's going to go over one more lane, and he's going to go up and race past everybody else. So how do you know that? 30 seconds later, he does it. She's like, what in the world? Whatever. And of course, she rolls her eyes, and I'm peacocking next to her like, ha ha, I'm ICT, baby. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to know he's going to do that. So the same thing happens in the market. You have to anticipate the thoughts and expectations of individuals that are going to see price action, and they're going to anticipate nothing in the future. They're going to react. They're going to chase, which is why my Judas swing is so effective at the right time. So there's a time and place for everything, but you are not to try to react to price. Even in your entries, you're not reacting, you're anticipating. When you're moving your stop loss, you're not reacting, you're anticipating. When you're taking your partials, you're not reacting, you're anticipating it going to a specific level, so that way you can press the exit or have your limit orders there to scale off your potential partial profits that always pay 100%. They never, ever fail. So when we look at price, or when we're looking for setups, or we're trading a particular model, time is a very important factor. There has to be a reason for that trade to even materialize. And you don't want to go in there in the first few minutes of trading and say, okay, this is it. I'm going in because now the markets have opened. Everybody else is dogpiling in. Everybody else is creating this congestion like rush hour. And I'm afraid I'm going to be left behind. So I have to do what? I have to react to what I see in the price action. So therefore, I have to do whatever else is doing, and that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Now, compare and contrast that mindset, which is very stressful, mind you. I mean, think about it. How can you know with any assurity what you're doing is statistically probable of having continued success when you're just guessing? You're guessing. You're reacting to what you think you're seeing in price, when price is always fluctuating up and down. Now, put that to the side for a moment and then think about it like this. Let's talk about each individual session, okay? And some of the characteristics that each one of those trading sessions have, and how you should go into those trading sessions with the proper mindset for anticipation, not reacting. Because your job as a trader, unlike 99.999% of every other trader that wants to share what they think is good advice, your job is not to react to price. It is absolutely not. And if you believe the statistics that 90% of traders actually fail, why would you take advice from people that are all saying the same stuff? You got to be able to react to price. Your job is not to be able to predict the future. It is absolutely your job to predict the future. That's why most of them fail, because they don't have the skill set, number one, to anticipate things that are generically in price action, and they're all time-based. You can set clocks to it. And that's the reason why I'm consistent. When I talk about things that should happen in the marketplace, the primary function behind the accuracy is I'm only really focusing on specific times, because those times are algorithmic. And if there is an algorithm, and this is this for a moment. Let's just put it aside for a minute whether there is or isn't. I know there is. Okay, most of you know there is, but let's make the case for a discussion for the idea that maybe there isn't an algorithm. Okay, if there isn't one, how is it that a trader can go in and trust that a setup will perform a specific function in price delivery that we can anticipate? It would be hard to do that. Like, what rule-based ideas, apart from pattern trading, which I'm not a pattern trader. I don't look for price patterns. I look for inefficiencies and liquidity. That's it. That's all there is. And I look for that in time. Specific times of the day. There's very specific times of the day where you as a trader can say, I have to be able to control myself and not allow impulsiveness to come into the marketplace and draw me in to trades that would equate to overtrading, which is a problem even for traders that can be profitable. And maybe you have done this. You can go in, you can find a trade or two and get profits, but then you want to do something else. Maybe because you see me tweet something, maybe you see other traders out there, other influencers, and you see them doing something. And you can't get the dopamine hit that you know that they're getting when they win, if they're even winning. You don't know if they're being honest with you. So you seek that hit, that feel good, that rail like on cocaine. Okay, you want to get a high. You can't treat the markets like a drug. You can't treat it like, a bump of adrenaline. This is a business. You need to mind your business. And when you make money, the job is to keep the money. But ICT, listen, man, you don't understand. I had a trade. I was up $1,200, and I allowed the market to scare me out. I was looking at this guy on YouTube, and he said he was going to do this and do that. It scared me. I read one of your tweets, ICT, and it made me get out of the trade too early. And then I regretted it because it ended up making my profit target and even more. But I got out of it because you scared me with a tweet, or I saw something else that made me second guess myself. Okay, what's the root cause of that? It's not me. It's not the other person. It's not the other YouTuber or influencer. It's you. You didn't trust your model. So if you don't trust your model and you're not following a rule-based idea and you take a trade off that could have paid your full profit or more, you can't worry about or more, because if your targets have limit orders on it, how can you get upset that it went past it and went more? Why should you be upset about that? Your business model was you were taking a trade to that point. Your business model says you had a stop loss at this point, risking that much money. You were anticipating in the beginning, but now you're reacting to the influences of maybe something I've tweeted, a student of mine has done, other influencer, other trader, other YouTuber. You're not trading your trade anymore, is it? It's you reacting. Reacting to trades, reacting to price, reacting to other people's success or failures is a recipe for failure.